I'm going to show you how to make these covers. Watch, ready? Follow me, follow me, follow me. These bad boys, yeah? Banana heads and hitter, driver. Yeah, let's do it. Hello, hello, hello. Here we go. Crave Golf tutorials, driver covers. Our life is what we make it, yeah? How to make a golf head cover driver version. I'm going to do a little talk over. I've got my cup of tea. We'll start with embroidery. Doing a little mic check, 1, 2. I'll start with embroidery, yeah? Because a good piece of design always fills a void in me. Don't be avoiding these things. Get on it, do it, and become a champion. Embroidery. That's going to be another video altogether. However, for the purpose of this video, there's a couple of different designs that you'll see. One was the hitter, the other one will be the banana heads driver cover. I'll give you all my settings and everything in another video and we'll sort that out, but for now what we'll do is we'll start off by slamming one of these little fellas down, the hitter driver. We are going to cut out to the template provided in the description. Just going to knock the top off because we don't like to waste a lot of material. We're going to cut off the Weblon backing. Now we use Weblon backing, as you can see there, it's quite tough to cut and to tear, it won't tear. So the material we're using for the top layer is a faux leather, it's a standard white faux leather. And the issue with leather when you do such a dense embroidery on it is the problem you can get from that is that where you put so many needle marks through the leather, it's in such a tight confined space, it basically cuts it out as it goes round. Not that you can see it to the eye, but once you put stress on the leather or pull it or tighten it as you're taking it on and off, it can rip. So we use a tough Weblon backing to stop that happening. Now what you want to do is just flame off the little loose ends, yeah, and that will just seal everything on the back. It'll stop any threads coming undone or pulling out. Flip it over, we do the same for the top, just cut off any loose ends or jump stitches, and then just give it a light flaming because you don't want to scorch the outside of the leather. You don't want to put a scorch mark on that because that's bad news, not after it's taken you 30 minutes to an hour to embroider something. So now we're going to cut the back out. The back's exactly the same as the front. So once you've cut out to the template, flip it in half. Just mark halfway down, and for the purpose of this video, I'm going to draw a line across it to show you where you would stitch your elastic, which is coming in a little bit. I wouldn't generally do this because, you know, over the years you get to be able to stitch properly, which I couldn't do at the beginning. Now we've got our two pieces, front and the back. We are going to make some piping. Piping is this section around the top. See this yellow line? That's what I'm making there. The purpose of that is it gives it a nice round top to it. Yeah. And once you, believe me, once you start putting piping in the top of your head covers, you ain't going back to the old scraggly lines and all that sort of stuff. No, 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 you want this, yeah? See him, little fella? Go on, give him a kiss. Yeah. Birdie, angry birdies. So my setup here, I've got a straight edge and a little thing on the front that I run my strimmer wire through, actually is what I use because I feel that gives it a nice sturdy top line. I've used cording pipe and all sorts of different things, but this is what I find works best. You don't have to use that. You could. It's a 2mm, it's a 2mm on a driver. You'd use different sizes for different covers, but for the purpose of the driver, we're going to use the green 2mm shrimmer wire, which will give us a nice firm line around the top, nice firm sturdy product to hold the shape. Yeah. So the setup for this, I've got the square edge off the front, which I use as a clamp just to guide the pipe in as it goes through, and I've got a little metal hook on the front there, I suppose you call it, just to run the wire through so it all sort of stays in place. As you see, once you get going, you can start to buzz through that, and it's really simple to do. You don't want to stitch too close to the piping at this stage, because with there's another stage when we attach the liner later on, which you step it in, and then so you want to be 5mm away from the actual strimmer wire that's inside the piping to start with, and then we'll step it in further on we go. So there we are, let's chop that off. Give it a little stretch, make sure it's all nice and tidy, and then we're going to move on to the next step, which is the construction. You and me, we are everything. As you can see, there's the back, so we're going to start by putting the elastic in on this one, okay? So you can see the line there for the purposes of the video, and you can see the top section and the front of the cover. We're going to use a 12mm elastic on this. I've found out over testing different products that works best. So we're going to line up the elastic on the line, and we're going to run a back stitch to stop it coming undone. So when we pull it on this stage, make sure your needle's down, and then we're going to pull through, and we're going to drop the camera. So as you can see, well, you can't see, but you will see in 1 second. We're just going to stitch down that line with the elastic. So here you'll get a better view. My hairy arm's not in the way. So we'll start with 20mm flat stitch without pulling it, then we pull the elastic tight, and when you get to the other end, let go of the elastic, and another 20mm flat stitch in, so it's not pulling on the edges, but it's pulling in the middle. When we cut that off now, what you'll see is we've got that crumpled effect on the back, which is going to help the driver head stay in place once the cover is on your golf club. So if you see that, now we pull it and let it go, we get a little spring back, and that's what's going to hold the cover in. So when constructing the head cover, everything's done inside out, so you always keep your good side to your good side. So your front and your back, the good side, the outsides go together, and the insides are opposite to each other. That's just the main rule of really making anything, to be honest. It's only once you turn it inside out that you'll start to see the product, really. So now what we're going to do is we're going to back stitch the beginning, about 20mm, just to give it a bit of strength when we turn it over. We're going to sew the edges up to the elastic, and then we're going to insert the piping. So the piping is a little bit tricky. When you're first doing it, you'll sort of get used to it. But this is the way that you put it in. So once you've done your piping, you've got your round edge and your open edge. You want to put the open edge to the open edge of what you're sewing up. So when you turn it inside out, you've got the round side on the inside. So everything's obviously back to front again. So once you've done that and you've got it set up, just run it round. This is just another basting stitch. So we're not stepping it in at this stage. We're going to do that when we add the liner. So what we're doing is we're just placing the piping into the cover at this point, and we're just holding it in place where we want it to be. You can do this with clips if you so wish, and attach the liner at the far end of the makeup, but just if you follow these steps, then you can't go wrong, really, because what we're going to do is we're going to trim off to this line later on, which you'll see. So you're not even going to see this stitch. This stitch is actually going to be cut off in the final product. So once you've got it round to the elastic the other side, pull it out and away from the cover and stitch over the top, and then run your straight edge down to the bottom. Just take a little bit of care at this point. You try and snap a needle, take it nice and slow over this section. Some of the home machines, the Singer machines, haven't got as much power as the industrial ones, and they can tend to snap on the thicker strimmer wire. A little back stitch to finish it off, and then we'll trim that bad boy up. So as you can see, we're working with the outsides to the outsides, and this will be hidden once we've attached the liner, which is what we're going to do now. So this is just a simple piece of polar fleece. This is 400 by 400 mil with one stitch up one side. So we're going to now take the cover, we're going to lay it flat face down, and we're going to clip the top, and we're going to clip the sides just to hold it in place while we jump onto the next machine just to run. So what I've done here is I've used a piping foot to do this section. I like doing it this way because you can get a nice tight edge to the piping if you get your settings right. So let's just swivel it round. So this is just your standard heavy duty Singer machine. I'm sure you all know how to thread a machine by now. If you don't, we are going to do a separate video on that at some stage. After doing it 1,000 times, you soon get used to it. So pull a nice little bit of cord out the back so we don't get the, so what happens, if you leave a little bit of short thread coming out the back of the needle and you start to stitch, then it will pull the thread out and you'll have to start again and re-thread it. So always pull a nice long thread out the back before you start your stitching. That way you don't have to hang on to it every time. The settings that I use for this is it's a width of 4 and a length of 4. That helps me jump it in right next to the piping line. As you can see, as we turn around here, we've got 2 stitch lines now. So we're stepping in. This is the section where we're stepping in when we're adding the liner. So we're getting one nice stitch throughout the whole cover once we've trimmed off the excess waste. So we only need to go round the top section. We don't need to do the bottom because that's already sewn up. So if you can see here, we've got 2 stitch lines and 1 on the back. The one on the back is the finish. The one on the reverse side is where we're going to now trim up our line to. If you leave all that bulk access in your head cover, it's not gonna look very nice, for one, because what happens is it'll all push out the back. Because where we flip this inside out now, if you imagine you've got a circle and you try and turn it in on itself, it's gonna start to pucker. So the least amount of material you can leave on that top edge, the better. But you don't want to cut it so close to the line that you're going to start trimming holes in it, basically, and cutting out your front stitch. So that's all nicely trimmed up now. I mean, I personally like to nip off all the little tiny bits because, you know, it's like the old Bentley thing, isn't it? Inside, if the inside's as good as the outside, then if it ever falls apart, which it won't, you know that you've done a good job. So vis-a-vis, you are the man. A little bit of, you know, it's like sanding. You're not going to cut a bit of MDF and then not sand the edge of, you know, cut a bit of wood and not sand it down, are you? You've got to make sure that all your little bits and bobs are in place and that you're not hanging out, because it makes it easier to work with, basically, doesn't it? I mean, I'm probably going a little bit OTT there, but, you know. Right. You can see where the piping is inside. You've got the round section and you've got the sandwich effect on the outside of all the open edges. Now, stick your hand in the lever inside, open your hand up a little fraction, squeeze it in, give it a bit of a turnover, and pop that little bad boy inside out. This is where we're going to now see the cover. and we're getting close to the end here. Then open up, hand inside the liner, and then what you'll notice here is that a lot of cover makers, or covers that I've seen, if you put your hand inside the driver, you can feel the open line on the top because they're sewn from the bottom and then they're folded over, which is another way of doing things. But we do it a little bit different, so we've got two open ends here now. Yeah, so we've got the liner open end and we've got the leather open end. So the easiest way that I can tell you guys to do is to do a double flip on the leather. So you've got a pinch there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to clip this down. So we're gonna make a nice little double fold. So we're folding over once. I mean, I know it's a little bit long here, but we're I'm trying to show you. So once folding is going to be your open edge, and then when we fold again, we're getting a nice curved double edge. So we're not seeing an open end of the leather when we look inside the head cover. I do it this way. One, I just find it easier for the manufacturing process. I find it quicker. I find it easier to make the covers that way. And in a commercial setting, you know, it's sort of a standard way of doing it. You can also flip the leather and flip the liner at the same time, which we do on a lot of covers, and then clip the both together. So essentially you're flipping the leather and the liner, then you're sandwiching them together, so then you get a double. So what you can do is you can create a little design edge feature, but we'll show you that in a different video on another cover maybe. So what I'm doing with these clips is I'm using the length of the clip to measure the amount of fold that is going into the inside of the cover, so we get a nice even band of leather around the inside. So we're not clipping one side like 2 inches and the other side 1 inch. So this is about, overall with a double flip, it's about 20 mil. So it's a 10 mil single flip and then 10 mil on a double flip. So then you get a nice chunky bottom line, as you can see there, and then it's all clipped up. So all the clips are at the height of the leather. So that gives us a nice even band around the outside, like this, you see. If I turn that inside out, yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sew this edge, yeah. So if you have a little look at that, I always use the feet to measure. I normally use the width of the foot to the outside of the line, and a nice slow stitch works nicely here. You can use a hand machine to do this, a cobbler's hand machine, which I used for a few years until I upgraded to a mechanical machine, which is over there, but I'll show you that in another video. It's actually broken at the moment, but it's all good because I've got the new machine. So as you can see on the inside of the cover at the bottom, as we're stitching around, we're actually sewing both of the edges down at the same time, which is nice. So you don't want to try and go too close to the edge of the inside of the leather. As you can see, it's stepped in fractionally there, because if you miss it at this point, then you're sort of buggered, really, mate. So let's give it a little flip round, say hello to my little crave, and there we are, one head cover all made. Liners, bottom lines, all nicely tucked in, looking wonderful. This one will be dropping at the open, so do the usual, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and enjoy the next video. Ta-da, mate.
Give me the hats. Give me the bass.